Welcome into the 2023 Fantasy Baseball Preview for the Seattle Mariners. I am Dave Eddy here with my boy Connor Tomier. We're going to hop into things here in just a second. But before we do, I do want you to take a moment, hit that like button down there if you've been enjoying these videos. Myself and Connor have been doing all the AL teams. Jason and JP, they've been doing the NL. We've been pumping out a video a day for you. Show a little bit of love with that like. If you don't want to miss any of these videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications so that, you get an alert as soon as these come out each morning so you can, rush to them and check them out. And if you just kind of like everything we're doing at Fantasy Six Pack, do yourself a favor, head on over to fantasysixpack.net/plans, get you access to all of our award-winning rankings. We've got awesome draft tools. And then my favorite thing is our Discord. It's not just got people like myself and Connor, but it's got everyone from Fantasy Six Pack in there, and a whole bunch of other people just like you looking to talk baseball, football, hockey, golf, NASCAR if you catch me on the right day. So we got lots there for you. So make sure you check that out. Connor, you ready to get into some Seattle Mariners?
Yep, I'm ready to do it.
All right, perfect, man. Well, let's start off with this starting lineup, which starts off with maybe my favorite player in baseball, Julio Rodriguez, followed by Ty France, Eugenio Suarez, former Detroit Tiger, newest addition to the team here, Teoscar Hernandez, Colton Wong as well. Behind the dish, they got Cal Raleigh, JP Crawford in the 7-hole, AJ Pollock, and then Jared Kelenic in the 9 spot. So pretty interesting lineup here. A little bit of a mixture of youth and, just guys at different points in their career. But I would be remiss if we don't start off talking about Julio Rodriguez, J-Rod show, as I call him. I mean, absolutely blew away even the lofty expectations that, we had for him coming into last season. And I'm just going to ask you this. Do you think he can go 30-30 or better this season?
Yeah, J-Rod could definitely get 30-30 or better this season. I wouldn't be surprised. I think if anybody does it this year, it's going to be him. He's going to have one of those, Cedric Mullins in 2021 or Ronald Acuna in 2019. I think he's bound to have one of those types of seasons this year.
So, like I said, I like Julio Rodriguez as much as anybody. I own him everywhere that all my dynasty leagues. I own him, and I wouldn't give him up for much of anything. But the stolen base numbers last year absolutely blew me away because he is not a guy that stole bases, in the minor leagues. He had a high of 16 stolen bases back in, I guess 21. He actually 21 total, but he wasn't a guy that was thought of as a base stealer. So, when he comes up last year and goes 28 home runs, I get that makes sense. But the 25 stolen bases, I am a little bit afraid that he may disappoint in the stolen base department this year. Now, I think we're going to see more steals just because of rule changes in general. But I think that my one knock on him would be maybe he doesn't quite reach the stolen base totals that I think everyone projects for him. I'm not saying that he won't. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he could go 40-40. But if he only stole 20 bags, I think a lot of people would be disappointed by that. And I'm just saying don't be surprised if that happens. That would be my one knock on him.
Fair enough, yeah. I can't blame you there.
Yeah. So guy on the other side of the spectrum, Jared Kelenic has gone from, can't miss prospect, thought even highly, more highly than Julio Rodriguez was. He is now a negative WAR player. Now, granted, he's still young enough to turn it around, but we're not talking dynasty here. We're talking redraft. So, you're drafting Kelenic obviously for this season only. So my question to you, do you think that he's worth a later round flyer, or are you just preferring to not draft him and let somebody else take that chance?
Me personally, I'm going to pass on him because there's others I want to target late in the rounds. But I do think a lot of people will end up drafting him late, which he can turn it around. They're not wrong by drafting him, but I have other players I'd rather get instead of him.
And I'm willing to be wrong on Kelenic, and it's not that I think he's going to be some all-star player in 2023. But the way that I look at those late round picks is there's not a lot of risk in selecting them, right? So,
Right.
I could take a guy like, let's say, a Colton Wong, right? Just to give you another Mariner like that. And the upside of Colton Wong isn't it's just not that big of a deal. If all of a sudden Kelenic figures it out, he could have a monster season. Like, he literally could be an all-star. Again, do I
Yep.
think it's likely? No, I don't think it's likely. But when it comes to the end of the draft like that, the guys that I'm selecting, I'm fully resigned to the fact that I could be dropping them before the season starts. I could be dropping them in the first couple weeks of the season. Big deal, and so I'm not so afraid to draft Kelenic. If anything, I would draft him, maybe give up on him too soon because he gets off to a slow start, pick up somebody else that helps me, and then Kelenic blows up, and now I don't have him. But my point
How
is,
it goes.
yeah, my point is, I'm not afraid to go high risk, high reward late in the draft because I don't really feel like I'm giving up on a lot.
Yep. No, I agree there. Yeah. I'm just there's other guys who I'd rather put the risk in towards than him
No,
this year.
totally get it. Totally get it. Nothing wrong with that. Let's go ahead and move on over to this starting rotation. It's a pretty interesting one, and it's a pretty good one too. We start off with Luis Castillo. We're at the top, followed by Logan Gilbert, Robbie Ray, George Kirby, and Marco Gonzalez. Obviously, that's a very solid top four. Pretty decent drop down to Marco Gonzalez, but the 1 through 4 are very good. But let's focus here first on Luis Castillo. So, he showed a lot of improvements, when he joined the Mariners last year. He kind of had a little bit of a down spell, in his time in Cincinnati there at the end. But do you think that this is a guy that could fully rebound and, make himself a Cy Young contender this season?
Definitely. He has the stuff to do it. He has the talent to do it. He showed us last year when he played with Seattle what he can do, and I think if he gets a whole year to do it, and then he will be in the Cy Young conversation. This is a guy who is not being drafted as like one of the top 10 starting pitchers, but at the same time, I'm willing to build my pitching staff around him this year because I think he can be really good and win a Cy Young this year.
Yeah, and I'll keep my thoughts real simple. I think that I am usually one of the higher guys in the room on Luis Castillo, so I'm very willing to overdraft him, if you will, based on his ADP. Now, the flip side of that for me is Robbie Ray. I've always been, I've never been a believer of Robbie Ray, and he threw a slider and a sinker, just more than ever in 2022. Now, I don't know if that's, a possible down cause, or a possible cause for his down year, but from maybe a less biased person, are you worried that, we might have already kind of gotten the best of Robbie Ray and it's kind of downhill from here?
I'm a bit worried that it's all going to be downhill from here. He definitely needs to cut back on the sinkers. I've looked at some of his like run values for his sliders, like historically pretty good for him. But he just upticked the sinker this year or last year, and it was just not good for him. And we saw it, and his numbers just seemed definitely a down year for him. He needs to get back to throwing fastballs, throwing the fastball a lot, and I think he can be pretty good, just like he was with his year in Toronto. I think he could have another year like that, but I am still worried.
Yeah, he's just a guy that I'll never trust. I really feel as though he's had his outlier season and, he's never going to get back to that point or even close enough to it to where I would ever personally consider drafting him, at his ADP.
I think I'm going to skip out on him this year too.
Yeah, I feel you, man. Let's go ahead and finish it up here with the bullpen. And we can start here right up at the top with the closer, Paul Sewald. 7th and 8th inning guys, we're looking at Andres Munoz and Diego Castillo. And then to round it out, we got Matt Brash, Penn Murphy, Trevor Gott, Matt Festa, and Chris Flexen. So I want to focus here, like we probably usually do here on the closer. First question, do you think that Sewald has got this like locked down, like he is going to be their closer?
I don't. This doesn't seem like a team that has ever really like locked down on a closer in recent years. I don't remember them locking in one. And the other guys, Munoz and Castillo, they're pretty good. They're not bad. And I could see either one of them ended up getting some save opportunities.
No, I agree. I love Andres Munoz. I remember, I don't know what it was, maybe 2, 3 years ago, where he was a hot name for me in Dynasty. He was a guy that I was pretty in on, and he just hasn't really been able to stay healthy. I think if he's healthy, I think he's got every chance to be just as effective, if not better, than Sewald. I would imagine that Sewald starts the season as a closer, and unless he gives a reason to lose the job, that's going to be your guy. This team, I don't think they're going to approach 100 wins, but they're going to win ball games, and so I think he's going to get plenty of opportunities, whoever the closer may be. And then if you're in a saves or holds league, I would say Sewald, Munoz, Castillo are all very viable. Um, any thoughts other than that on the bullpen?
Not too much, no. Pretty basic names here, nothing too
Yeah.
exciting.
All right. Well, that's going to do it here then for our 2023 preview of the Seattle Mariners. Again, drop a like on this video if you have enjoyed it and you've been following along with us. If this is the first time checking one of these out, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications so you get an alert every single time a new video comes out. And then swing by fantasy6pack.com/plans and check out everything that we have to offer there. I appreciate you tuning in.